we've just received back some access to information documents from the federal government about the time when the United Nations banned me from their climate change conference in Katowice, Poland in December. Now, today I'll show you how our viewers at home, just like you, scared the daylights out of the federal government. Do you remember when David Menzies and I were both simultaneously banned from two separate UN events at roughly the same time in December 2018? I was banned from the United Nations Climate Change Conference held in Poland's coal country, in Katowice. And David was banned from the migration conference held in Marrakesh, Morocco. Now, David was sort of an innocent bystander for once in his life. David was banned because apparently I got us all banned when I attended the climate change conference in 2016, coincidentally also held in Marrakesh, Morocco. Initially, when we applied to go to that conference, the United Nations tried to ban us because they said that they don't accredit activist journalists, which is, of course, crazy because when you get inside these climate change conferences, literally every journalist there is an activist journalist, except they're activists for the other side of the climate change debate. Those journalists are from the side that thinks taxes change the weather, not me. Therein lay the problem. So after we got lawyers and the federal government involved, the United Nations relented. But they, of course, were still looking for a reason to ban us going forward, and the Canadian government was more than willing to help them. In 2016, after I asked a Canadian delegate a pointed question, she complained to the United Nations, and then they banned me for harassment, even though I caught the whole exchange on camera. Questions you aren't ready for or aren't able to answer, those aren't harassment. But that one lonely question got me banned from reporting from within the 2017 conference held in Bonn, Germany. So, when David and I applied to cover the United Nations events in 2018, we didn't really expect to be accredited, but of course, we were denied and went anyway. And this year, when the United Nations predictably banned us, they said I was banned because someone from the Canadian delegation asked them to, because of a complaint from the official Canadian delegation, meaning my own government or someone there because my government asked them to be there was responsible for censoring me as a journalist. So at The Rebel, we thought we'd file an access to information request to ask the federal government what exactly they were chattering about when the news broke that I knew, and then all of you knew, that the federal government was responsible for getting me banned from reporting from the conference in Katowice. So we asked for any documents and correspondence, including emails and text messages regarding the media accreditation for the UN's 24th session of the Conference of the Parties to be held in Poland in December 2018, including any documents relating to the decision to reject any media outlets since January 1st, 2018. Now you can see on page 12, they start circulating our story about us being banned by the United Nations. In that story, I showed a screenshot of my rejection letter from the United Nations media office saying that I was being banned at the request of the official Canadian delegation. And after that story aired, our viewers at home, like you, started emailing the federal government, in particular the Climate Change Office, asking them to rescind the ban on me and The Rebel. They, of course, did not, but boy, you sure scared them. The Climate Change Office was wondering if this was a Tiger Team issue. What's a Tiger Team, you ask? I recently learned what it is, too. I didn't know because I never want to work in a workplace where they have to employ a geeky strike force to deal with normal workplace problems that someone else is probably already being paid to deal with in the first place. But that's what a Tiger Team is, and such is the federal government. If they weren't redundant, they really wouldn't be anything, would they? Now, the Tiger Team is basically an expert government panel of fixers and nerds to problem solve their biggest issues. At least some people in the Climate Change Office thought that you folks at home and your outrage and how the Liberals have not only failed to defend the free press, but also actively participated in the censorship of it, were a bit of a Tiger Team issue. So thanks to all of you at home for doing that for me. Now look at these couple of tweets here. This guy here is Jeremy Hunt, the Foreign Secretary of the UK. He sent a tweet that said, "The free media is the lifeblood of democracy. So pleased to announce the UK and our good friends in Canada will be co-hosting the first ever ministerial level media freedom conference on July 10th and 11th in London. Thanks to Chrystia Freeland for your support. Defend media freedom. Journalism is not a crime." You know what? That is one heck of an interesting tweet sent by a representative of the country that locked up Tommy Robinson for the crime of journalism. But anyway, let's carry on. To which Jeremy Hunt's Canadian counterpart, our moral preening embarrassment of a foreign minister, Chrystia Freeland, replied, "In any democracy, journalists must have the ability to report facts freely, to defend, expose, and advance the truth without fear of retaliation, reprisal, violence, or imprisonment. Canada will always defend this right." Except the Canadian government was directly responsible for me being banned. They retaliated against me for my skepticism. I couldn't tell you the truth as I saw it from inside the United Nations Climate Change Conference. I couldn't expose the wastefulness and the opulence of the elites telling us to live with less from within those conference walls. I was explicitly banned because I was going to tell you all those things. And Canada did not defend my right to report. They have never defended our right to report. Freeland has stayed silent while we were banned and while I was assaulted at work. She has also stayed silent while 3 of my colleagues over the course of 3 weeks were assaulted while they were reporting. If that had happened to the CBC instead of us, they'd all get a big fat raise from the Liberals and a bigger security budget. The federal government loves to say that they believe in the free press, especially when they think the world is watching them say it. But I know, and you know, that behind closed doors, they don't believe in the free press. They only believe in the friendly press, the kind of press you can buy off with $1.5 billion in subsidies and a $600 million bribe. You know, the kind of press Trudeau's chief of staff, Katie Telford, knows she can call up to write a friendly op-ed for when her government obstructs justice. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Speaking of obstruction of justice, I think Justin Trudeau needs to be investigated by the RCMP for it. I've got a petition at jailtrudeau.com. You can sign it there. And if you'd like to pitch in to cover the cost of my billboard truck to drive around Justin Trudeau's safe haven in Ottawa, you can do that too. That's at jailtrudeau.com.